Hi guys, I'm Emily the Fang girl. So I'm someone who studied abroad in Beijing. I've been to Taiwan a couple times on exchange programs. I've worked abroad in Singapore and I've traveled Southeast Asia as a nomad. So if you're watching this video, you're probably interested in working overseas in Asia, and I have a few tips and tricks on how you can make that a reality. So number one, there are a bunch of countries in Asia. The first thing you want to do is figure out which country you actually want to go to. By figuring out which country you want to go to, this will help you figure out if you want to go there through an exchange, you want to go there through employment, or you want to go there through a digital nomad visa. There are different opportunities and ways to get yourself overseas, so you need to figure out which one is the best for you. If you're on a digital nomad visa, you'll need to either employ yourself, you'll need to be a freelancer or a consultant, or your job will allow you to work remotely anywhere in the world. So that's option number one. The second option is actually getting employed by a company in that country, and you're there on an employment path. So for example, I worked for Stripe in Singapore and I was employed in the APAC, which is the Asia arm office. This takes a little bit more work because you need to interview, you need to network, and you actually need to find a job in that country. I will say a lot of people who work in Asia generally speak English, or they teach English. Just for context, I think teaching English is a really great way to get into Asia, but it's not the only option. I've actually found out that a lot of English speaking teachers get paid pretty well depending on what institution they are working for. Especially private, like private tutoring, or if you work for a private institution, you probably get paid pretty well. There are also a lot of different job boards out there that are specific to countries in Asia of what they're hiring and looking for. Some that I know, because I work in tech, Tech in Asia, AngelList, I think they're called Wellfound now, and E27, Talent Tribe. There's so many different types of job boards out there. I'm gonna list them in the comments below so you know which job boards to take a look at. Again, these are legitimate job boards, but when you're looking for a job, just be careful that you're not getting scammed. If they're asking you for your money or for like really personal details, just be careful. One of the things I would also recommend is if you are trying to network and you're trying to find a job overseas, I would actually highly recommend you to find a community in your home country to see who has connections or roots in the country you want to go to. So for example, I am from the US, and if I was looking for a job in Taiwan, I most likely would join like Taiwanese American professionals or like Taiwan meetups in the States, just so that I can meet people who potentially have worked overseas there, or people who can speak Mandarin, people who have connections in that country. What you really want to do is just like surround yourself with people who are around that space and that world as well. Side note, if there's anything that you ever want to do, like whether it's you want to become a content creator, or you want to be an entrepreneur, or you want to work overseas in a different country, surround yourself with people who've already done it or who are also interested in doing it. I feel like in this kind of interesting way, it's like a sort of like manifestation of making things happen. Just because you're like surrounded by all that energy, you're doing like knowledge sharing and you're actually making steps to your goal. Also, lastly, I would say let everyone know that you're interested in working overseas. One of the best pieces of advice my sister told me was, if you're looking for something or you want to ask something, like let your network know. Everyone is so incredibly busy. They don't have the time to ask you like, oh, what do you want? What do you need? If you let them know like, hey, I need help with finding a job in South Korea, or I need help finding a teaching role in Taiwan. I think these are really great ways to let people know that this is an opportunity you're looking for, and they might know someone who might know someone who might know someone to connect you to this opportunity. One of the things about trying to get to a certain place is be shameless, like ask for help. Obviously do it in a way that's graceful, and you know, don't be so aggressive with your ask. If you ask someone for help, give them some context, make it easy for them to help you, and then in return ask them like if you can help them in any other way, shape, or form. That's always something that I really appreciate. A lot of people ask me for help in how to find a job in Singapore or how to build a community, etc. It pains me when people are just like, how do I do this? But I'm like, those are things that you can Google. If it's like, hey, I saw this post that you wrote about this, and this is the research that I've done, but I have a few questions that are a little bit more niche, can you help me answer them? Like, those are the type of conversations that I will open. But if it's like, hey, can you help me find a job in Japan? I'm like, do I look like a recruiter to you? Do I look like I'm your mom? Like, no. So anyways, when you formulate your ask, just be like more careful about how you formulate your ask or to people that you're asking for help. All in all, I want to say that like moving your life overseas is such a huge thing. There is something that I would recommend. Obviously, it's like something if you can afford to do, which is to visit that country that you want to go to. The reason why I say this is because moving abroad to a different country comes with its certain pros and cons as well. Cons of like loneliness, culture shock, like adjusting to a new city and surrounding, and you have to basically build up an entire identity and life for yourself. If you could visit the place that you want to live in, try to do that. If you cannot, talk to people who've done it before. Really like dig into their brain and see like what their thoughts were about living overseas. So that's basically what I would recommend. Lastly, I do have an Instagram that I've been like slowly building up and I'm pretty excited about it. It's called Option Asia. You can find it on Instagram. It's just gonna be like a feed of programs, opportunities, and interesting things I find about working overseas in Asia. I am super excited because I don't know, I feel like I really want to connect like the East and the West, and through building my own community, Asian Wonder Woman, I feel like I've done a great way of like connecting that channel between like women in the East and the West, and I want to provide that opportunity for everyone who is interested in working overseas. I had such a great experience working abroad in Singapore. I've met some of my best friends there. I like feel like, you know, a butterfly emerging from a cocoon, like tapping into a different part of myself that I don't think could have existed in the US. Being able to move abroad and start something from scratch and building a whole new life that really makes you into a very different kind of person. It makes you more resilient, it makes you more grittier, it makes you more interesting and well-rounded. So if you're really interested in looking to move overseas to Asia, I highly recommend it. But of course, just weigh the pros and cons. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments below. I think I'm going to create more videos on this just to give more opportunity for people to learn more about working overseas. I will see you guys in the next video and see you guys soon. Bye.